United States federal government, which is in charge of all 50 states, is composed of 3 separate parts, which all work together to run our country. The government is split up in this manner to prevent any one person from becoming too powerful. The 3 branches are the legislative, executive, and judicial branch. Let's start with the legislative. The legislative branch is the main lawmaking body of the government. It is also known as the Congress. Here, congressmen work in committees to draft and write bills. In the United States, Congress is split up into 2 parts called chambers. The first chamber, or the lower chamber, is called the House of Representatives, which has 435 representatives from each of the states. Each of the 50 states get a certain amount of representatives based off their population. California, the state with the most people, has 52 representatives, while a state like Wyoming, with very few people, only has 1 representative. Representatives serve 2-year terms, and they have to get reelected every single 2 years. The second one, or the higher chamber, is called the Senate. The Senate is far more selective and only has 100 members. Each of the 50 states gets exactly 2 senators, regardless of their population. So, California and Wyoming both get 2 senators, even if they get different amounts of representatives. Senators serve 6-year terms, but the election cycles for each state are staggered. For example, you could have 1 senator from Washington up for election this year, but you wouldn't have a senator from California in election at the same time. Both the House and the Senate work to draft bills. Once both chambers vote to pass the bill, it goes off to the president to get signed into law. Speaking of the president, the second branch is the executive branch. It's led by the president and his cabinet of advisors, and they run the country. While Congress and the legislative branch create laws, the executive branch actually implements them and decides how to use these laws. They decide how to spend the budget, enact safety and environmental regulations, and lead the military. The executive branch is run by individual bureaucracies like the Environmental Protection Agency, Department of Homeland Security, and the Social Security Administration. Each bureaucracy is staffed and led by people appointed by the president. The president himself has 4-year terms, meaning each 4 years they are up for re-election. They can serve at most 8 years in office. The president is the main boss and controls all the bureaucratic agencies and decides how laws will be implemented. He is also the face of our country and represents the U.S. at international meetings. He also gets to approve when laws are made. When Congress votes to pass a bill, the president needs to sign it into law. If he vetoes it or says no to it, then it gets blocked and doesn't go through. He also gets to appoint federal judges. Now, speaking of judges, the judicial branch is in charge of interpreting the meaning of our laws and hearing federal cases. This branch is made up of many courts that all resolve conflicts between individuals, organizations, and the federal government. There are 3 types of courts you need to know. First, there are district courts. This is the lowest form of a court. All federal court cases go here first. If a judge makes a decision that someone doesn't like, though, they can appeal their decision. And if they appeal their decision, it goes to a higher level of courts, and this level of courts is called the appellate courts. These courts only hear cases that people appealed. If someone appeals a decision made here, then it goes to one and only one court left, and that is the Supreme Court, which is the highest level of court. Their decision is final. The Supreme Court is made up of 9 justices, and it is the highest ranking court in the entire country. Essentially, the courts get to decide what is right and wrong, and what is and isn't constitutional. All of the 3 branches that we just learned about right now have a special connection with each other. They all check each other and balance each other out when it comes to their power. For example, Congress creates the laws, but the president can veto these laws. But the Congress can overturn these vetoes with a high enough majority. And while the judicial branch gets to decide whether a law or action by the government is constitutional or not, it is ultimately the president and the executive branch that gets to appoint them into office. The 3 branches work together to run a safe, democratic, and fair government, ensuring no one becomes too powerful or king-like. They are all the pillars of the U.S. democracy, and they've run our nation for over 200 years. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.